For days later, northern border of Liaoning province. Beck Gi was riding his horse when it suddenly screeched to a halt, rearing up and crying out. He quickly jumped off, landing hard on the ground. Ko Wong-her burst out laughing. Beck Gi, at this rate, you'll never learn to ride a horse properly. Beck Gi frowned, glancing at his horse. Damn it, I failed again. Just a moment's lapse in focus, and this happens. He clenched his fist, sparks of lightning crackling from it. I must have lost my mind back then, he thought grimly. Lightning flared around his body as his jaw tightened. To think I actually drank the blood of the dragon turtle. His thoughts turned inward. Since our days in the demonic academy, the Six Swords have always honed their martial arts through sparring. I once rivaled Ko Wong-her for the top position among us. But somewhere along the way, I was overtaken, not just by Moon-gyu. Ko Wong-her advanced to become a superior master, a wall I could no longer cross. To overcome that wall, I received new martial arts created by Yeo-Un himself, but even that wasn't enough. Then something happened that shattered what little confidence I had left. I was defeated by Hubong, of all people. After standing beside Yeo-Un and gaining countless experiences and fortunes, Hubong is no longer the man he once was. Beck Gi clenched his teeth, rage flashing in his eyes. Damn it, to lose to Hubong of all people. Beck Gi thought bitterly, losing to someone I always considered beneath me. It drove me to do something reckless. He glared at the bowl of dragon turtle blood before him, lost in hesitation. Before anyone could stop him, he lifted it to his lips and drank it all. In his desperation, he ignored the fact that the warriors of the North Sea Ice Palace had been burned alive by the lightning energy after attempting the same. Hubong succeeded in absorbing the blood of the fire Cheon, he told himself. There's no way I can't do the same. But the moment the last drop touched his tongue, his eyes widened in horror. Violent lightning chi erupted from within him. The power was overwhelming, tearing through his body like a storm gone mad. The result of his recklessness was devastating. Had Yeo-Un not arrived in time to suppress the raging lightning energy, Beck Gi would have been consumed entirely. Though he eventually managed to absorb the lightning chi, controlling it proved far more difficult. Even the slightest lapse in focus caused it to surge out uncontrollably. Yeo-Un studied him quietly. You're different from Hubong, he said. The fire Cheon's blood from the Imperial Tomb had its fire energy diluted by the eternal snow. But the dragon turtle died only recently. Its blood is still brimming with spiritual power. He added calmly, if you could completely circulate the lightning chi within your body using your internal energy, it wouldn't leak out unconsciously as it does now. Beck Gi looked up and asked, how do I fully circulate it? Yeo-Un smiled faintly. Simply put, you need to reach the level of a superior master. Beck Gi held his horse by the reins as he walked forward, lost in thought. If it were that easy, I would have done it long ago, he thought bitterly. I possess both inner strength and lightning chi, yet I can't fully control them, nor have I reached enlightenment. He narrowed his eyes, staring ahead. Does that mean Hubong's natural talent surpasses mine? He walked on in silence, the wind brushing past him. No, he realized. Hubong didn't grow stronger by comparing himself to others. He simply devoted himself to his duty. Beck Gi clenched his fist as lightning crackled faintly around it. I was the foolish one. He is who he is, and I am who I am. Martial arts aren't something achieved through impatience. He exhaled deeply, trying to calm himself. Damn it, at this point, I have no choice but to acknowledge that guy. Hubong glanced back, noticing Beck Gi's body radiating a faint surge of lightning chi. He smiled. You're having trouble controlling it, aren't you? Then, with a serious tone, he added, I understand how you feel, Beck Gi. Great power always comes with great responsibility. Beck Gi blinked, surprised. Can this guy actually say something serious like that? Have I been misunderstanding him all this time? Hubong then scratched his head awkwardly and grinned. I can barely sleep at night myself, always struggling to suppress the heat writhing inside me. He chuckled, completely ruining the moment. Beck Gi gritted his teeth. I take it back. I'm not acknowledging this idiot. I refuse to lose to a perverted fool like him. Hubong laughed as he called out, Hey, wait for me, Beck Gi. Cheon Niji burst out laughing, glancing at Yeo-Un. You've gathered quite the amusing subordinates. Yeo-Un remembered the past. When he first met Hu Bong, the young man had been crushed under the pressure of the demonic legion. Now, Hu Bong had become someone who lifted everyone's spirits, an indispensable presence. Watching Hu Bong toy with flames in his hand, Yeo-Un felt a quiet pride. He was glad Hu Bong had become his first subordinate. His face turned serious as he addressed Murong Mu. "We've entered Liaoning province. You can guide us to Changbai Mountain, right?" Murong Mu swallowed and wiped a bead of sweat. "Lord Cheon, are you really planning to go to Changbai Mountain?" Mong Kong snapped at him from the rear. "How dare you question the Lord's decision when you're only serving as a guide?" Yeo-Un's voice sharpened. "You hesitated the last time we spoke of Changbai Mountain. What is it you fear?" Murong Mu closed his eyes, trembling. "Lord Cheon, among the people of Liaoning there's an unspoken rule. No matter what happens, you must never enter Changbai Mountain." Cheon Niji stared in disbelief. Yeo-Un answered coldly. "What kind of nonsense is that?" Murong Mu gripped his reins and spoke hurriedly. Both his father and grandfather warned him the same thing. He had never once dared approach the mountain's entrance. The southern slopes of Changbai lay in the lands of the eastern tribes, mere borders, he thought. Yet his elders had insisted otherwise. At the entrance of Changbai Mountain, his grandfather had said, "A monster dwells. If you value your life, don't even go near it." Cheon Niji glanced at Yeo-Un, his expression grim as he sent a voice transmission. "My memory isn't what it used to be, but I believe I once heard something like that myself." The officers of the Profound Blade and Martial Sect once spoke of a monster guarding Changbai Mountain. Yeo-Un's eyes narrowed as he responded through transmission. "A monster, you say? Could they be referring to the white tiger said to dwell there?" They continued riding through the misty trail as Cheon Niji's gaze deepened. If that monster is indeed the one they spoke of, then what lies ahead may prove quite difficult for us. Yeo-Un frowned. "That person? Grandfather, do you mean someone you know?" A single bead of sweat rolled down Cheon Niji's cheek as he gave a faint nod. His voice was low, almost trembling. "Eastern caste god, the Malice. 2 days earlier. Border between eastern Liaoning province and southern Jilin province. Columns of warriors advanced in perfect order, banners fluttering, armor glinting beneath the pale light. The air was filled with the heavy rhythm of boots striking frozen earth. At the front, the Murim Alliance marched in full force. One side bore uniforms of solemn black, each troop carrying a flag adorned with the emblem of their sect. The other, the righteous factions, disciplined, united, and battle-ready. Hoyanjia, sect leader of Mount Dianxing sect and 10th commander of the alliance, turned his head slightly, his eyes tracing the endless formation. "Since becoming the head of my sect, this is the first time I've seen such a full-scale deployment," he said, his tone edged with awe. He added, "If they so wished, they could wipe an entire city off the map. To think the righteous faction's finest warriors would gather together to form an army of 5,000. Beside him, Zhang Xian, head of Mount Hung sect and 4th commander of the alliance, pressed her palms together softly. "Amitba, I wonder if such strength truly needs to be deployed to conquer Changbai Mountain," she murmured. Sect leader Ho walked beside them, eyes half closed in calm reflection. "I feel the same as Master Zhang Xian," he said quietly, the wind carrying his words across the frozen expanse. "Perhaps it would have been wiser to send 90% of our troops to Hangzhou, where the Blade Lord's base lies." The voice came from sect leader Ho, his tone calm, yet edged with skepticism as his horse's hooves crunched over the frozen ground. Across from him, Chief Hong, the beggar clan's head, snorted sharply. "You've heard the strategist's plan, and yet you still question the decision?" Sect leader Ho turned his head slightly, meeting his gaze. "Isn't that right, Chief Hong? Allocating 30% of our total force to Changbai Mountain." He frowned. "You don't understand why we do that just to seize or protect a mythical beast's core, do you?" From the other side, the abbot of Shaolin, Gakyun, opened his eyes slowly, his deep voice carrying across the cold air. "Perhaps sect leader Ho doesn't yet know. After all, it hasn't been long since you were promoted to Grand Commander." Sect leader Ho's brows furrowed slightly. "What do you mean by that, Master?" Gakyun's expression remained serene as he asked, "Why do you think 200 soldiers and the 3rd strategist, Ojiseo, were sent ahead as an advance party?" Sect leader Ho glanced slightly toward him, then asked cautiously, "You believe it was to negotiate with the guardian of Changbai Mountain, correct?" He added, "But even if that man is one of the 5 great masters." Chief Hong cut him off, his voice suddenly sharp. "He's more than just one of the 5 great masters." Sect leader Ho turned toward him, eyes narrowing. "What are you saying?" Chief Hong's face darkened, his tone heavy. If that monster secluded on Changbai Mountain had ever decided to walk the martial world again, he might well have been hailed as the strongest under heaven. Sect leader Ho's eyes widened slightly. "The strongest under heaven, you say?" He exhaled slowly, his breath misting in the air. "I hope, for all our sakes, you're exaggerating." His voice lowered as he added, almost to himself, "I know he's the oldest among the 5 great masters, but I don't understand why they speak of him with such reverence." Then, raising his head once more, he declared, "In any case, if we can make him our ally, he'd be more than capable of standing against the demon god." Chief Hong rode ahead, his expression grave. "If everything goes as the grand strategist planned," he said slowly, "that might indeed be possible." The 16th Master Lord of the Jinju, Yowun, rode forward and said, "Whether negotiations succeed or fail, the 3rd strategist and the advance party are supposed to rendezvous at the mountain's entrance, yes?" The 17th Master Lord of the Habuk Peng clan, Peng Yu, replied calmly, "Let's hope the talks go smoothly." Just then, Mu Gu Cheon, sect leader of the Shangxi Sword Sect and first commander of the alliance, noticed something ahead. He quickly reined in his horse and shouted, "Everyone, stop!" Zhang Xian called out to him, confused, "Mu Gu, what is it?" Mu Gu's eyes widened as a cold dread ran down his spine. Something's wrong, this stench, that metallic tang. His heart pounded as he looked up to see a sky painted red. Thousands of crows swirling above, their cries echoing through the air, almost blotting out the light. He muttered under his breath, his voice grim, "It's the smell of blood." Ho Hyenjia, who always maintained his composure, was petrified at the sight before him. He pondered silently. What's with this chilling, ominous aura? The beggar sect head covered his nose slightly. Something's happened. He added, "To think there's this much blood in the air, it's not from just 1 or 2 deaths." Mu Guqion turned slightly, glancing at Gak Yun. They both nodded in silent understanding. He raised his hand to give a signal, then ordered as he marched ahead, "All troops, advance." But in that instant, a figure jumped up from afar. As his figure was in the air, he started to descend slowly. The figure used his footwork technique to dash forward with lightning speed, crashing into the ground with overwhelming force. The entire Murim Alliance forces at the front were hit by the shockwave. Makemo was also at the front. Affected by the shockwave, he held tightly to his horse's reins. The whole area fell silent as they watched the figure land with overwhelming pressure, destroying the land beneath him. The figure stood up slowly as the dust began to settle. Mu Guqion and Ho Hyenjia held their ground against the shockwave as the dust passed over them. The figure stood tall like an unmovable mountain, blocking their path. A bead of sweat dripped down Gak Yun's back as he recognized the person before him. He explained aloud, his voice trembling slightly, "That man is Eastern caste god, the Malice." The entire force froze. Murmurs broke out one after another. "Eastern caste god? Is that really him?" Makemo narrowed his eyes, the air around him tense. So the rumors were true. He really was in seclusion on Changbai Mountain all this time. His gaze hardened, and a heavy killing intent seeped out from him as he muttered. Among the 5 great masters of the Central Plains, he alone reached the peak without a weapon. The man who conquered Murim with nothing but his fists, bestowed the title of God himself. Mu Guqion turned slightly toward Gak Yun and said gravely, "Master Gak Yun, do you see the bloodstains on that man's robe?" Gak Yun's eyes flicked toward Malice, noticing for the first time the dark red stains splattered across the fabric. "Now that you mention it," he frowned, thinking deeply. "This thick scent of blood, that name, Eastern caste god. Ba, this is ominous indeed. I would rather it not be true, but the aura he gives off, it's far too hostile." Mu Guqion then stepped forward, raising his voice. "Is it truly the art of the Eastern caste god, Malice?" He cupped his fists and declared formally, "I am Mu Guqion, first master of the Martial Artists Alliance and clan leader of the Shangxi Sword Sect. One of our officers, Ojasio, came here with the advance party and reported that both you and Changbai Mountain are in danger. Malice stood motionless, silent. His cold gaze revealed nothing. Mu Guqion tried again. Did you receive that report, perhaps? Zhang Xian watched nervously from behind, her brow furrowing. He seems to care about the Changbai direction, but why won't he say anything? Mu Guqion pressed on, voice firm but respectful. Even though our presence may cause misunderstanding, our goal is to prevent the upcoming crisis. Before he could finish, Malice cut him off, his tone flat and icy. Leave. The word carried such finality that the wind itself seemed to freeze. Still, Mu Guqion clenched his jaw and persisted. Master, as you just said, there is a force seeking the spirit beast of Changbai Mountain. Malice's eyes darken to a deep blue as he warns coldly. This is your final warning. If you do not leave now, your lives will be in grave danger. Gak-yun turns to Mu Guqion, tense. Sect leader Mu, there's no room for negotiation in his voice. Mu Guqion is silent for a long moment. Then, gripping his sword, he decides aloud. I think we must abandon the general's first plan. In his mind, he realizes the warrior is still guarding this place. The demonic cult and the Blade God's 6 martial clan haven't arrived yet. They brace themselves and draw weapons. Mu Guqion continues, voice hard. I had hoped he would join us, but it can't be helped. Even if it costs us dearly, we must seize the White Tiger's core first. He draws his blade and declares, all of this is to protect our forces and the spirit beast of Changbai Mountain. In the next instant, 7 riders surge forward from their horses, launching into motion. They form the Heavenly Gang North Star formation. Mu Guqion orders sharply, be ruthless if need be, but understand your roles. The Heavenly Gang North Star formation, a supreme tactic created by Wang Zhongyang, founder of the Zhenjin sect, is modeled on the Big Dipper, Celestial Pivot, Tianshu, Celestial Rotating Jade, Tianxian, Celestial Shining Pearl, Tianji, Celestial Balance, Tianquan, Jade Sight, Yowun, Twinkling Brilliance, Kaiyang, and Flickering Light, Yowun. When 7 masters take their positions, their energies amplify, but the formation's weakness lies at the center. To cover that flaw, Mu Guqion places himself at Tianquan, the pivotal spot. He surges forward with a crushing strike, unleashing the Shangxi sect's ultimate technique, Sword Dance, Peerless Blade. Seeing Malice standing motionless ahead, he scoffs, to think you'd try to take my sword technique head on. Malice stretches out his fist, a cold blue aura coils around it. Mu Guqion brings his sword down, but when steel meets fist, the air around the blow warps. His blade begins to splinter. With terrifying force, the peerless blade shatters like porcelain. Malice does not flinch. Mu Guqion's eyes widen in disbelief. Our sect's treasured sword art, shattered. Before he can recover, Malice's boot snaps into his face. The impact twists Mu Guqion's features. He reels and skids across the ground like a thrown pebble. Hongyu looks on, aghast. A warrior who stands among the 9 great masters. Overturned by a single punch and a single kick, Malice vanishes in a blur and appears behind Pengyu, driving a brutal fist into his gut. Pengyu coughs blood. Pengyu was sent flying across the ground. Ho Hyenja saw this and shouted his name in worry. His expression turned cold as he rushed forward, swinging his sword down. You monster! Malice stood there calmly, unflinching. His eyes grew sharp, filled with killing intent. Ho Hyenja froze, cold sweat running down his back. In a blur, he stepped back to create distance, his gaze fixed on Malice, wondering what kind of terrifying aura he had just felt. Then, Malice vanished. Ho Hyenja trembled slightly, searching frantically. Zhang Xian called out his name, eyes wide. Ho Hyenja looked around desperately, but Malice was already above him. With his fist clenched, Malice struck down from the sky. The impact shattered the ground, leaving a deep crater. Zhang Xian and Gak-yun froze in shock. Even Makimo, still mounted on his horse, stared in disbelief. Malice stood silently amid the destruction, scanning the field. Ho Hyenja's head was buried into the ground, his body trembling, before collapsing completely. The entire team stopped, stunned. Behind Gak-yeon, Jong Seon's face went pale. One punch, he was driven knee-deep into the ground. Unbelievable strength. If this keeps up, we'll all be wiped out. She leapt into the air, calling for Gak-yeon's support. Then, she activated the demonic subduing sutra secret technique. 9 syllables Garuda. Gak-yeon followed up with the Shaolin technique. Reversal Tendon Scripture, tenfold power. Jong Seon charged forward, her sword gleaming, while Gak-yeon unleashed a barrage of strikes from behind. Malice continued walking forward, calm and silent, as their combined attacks closed in. He opened his eyes slightly, a faint frown forming. Before Jong Seon's sword could even reach his neck, it crumbled like paper. A bead of sweat slid down her face as her eyes widened in disbelief. Malice raised his hand and shattered the sword in a single, effortless motion. Jong Seon was pushed back, stunned. The enhanced fist, it's being absorbed? Pulled in. What is this? As she regained her footing, Malice drew his arm back for another devastating strike. He punched forward with full force. Jong Seon quickly covered her hand with enhanced chi, trying to block, gritting her teeth. A loud bang erupted. A blinding flash engulfed her, and everyone watching froze in shock. Jong Seon was sent flying several meters, coughing blood. He penetrated my protective chi. It passed straight through. Could this man's fist? Malice stood calmly, fist still raised, the space around it visibly distorted. Jong Seon hit the ground hard. Gak-yeon turned toward her, calling her name in desperation, but Malice appeared behind him in an instant, fist already drawn back. Gak-yeon spun sharply, reacting on instinct. But Malice's punch landed in a flash, and he surged forward again, charging straight toward Jinju Yong-in with his fist close in. Jinju Yong-in narrowly dodged Malice's fist, ducking low to avoid the blow. But Malice immediately raised his leg and kicked. The kick struck Jinju Yong-in squarely in the face, sending him flying. The beggar sect head rushed forward with his bamboo staff, ready to strike. He closed in behind Malice and unleashed the strike violation Agenero technique with full force. Malice simply turned his head, giving him a slight glance. A loud bang erupted as their chi clashed violently, but the beggar sect head was sent flying several meters in an instant. Make Mo's eyes widened in disbelief as he sat atop his horse, mouth hanging open. The beggar sect head crashed to the ground right in front of him. Make Mo's breath seized, cold sweat running down his back. He muttered, "For the leaders of the Murim Alliance to fall so easily." He stared at Malice's imposing figure, trembling as his thoughts spiraled. Malice took a few steps forward, eyes fixed on the Murim Alliance warriors. Make Mo forced himself to regain composure and rallied the soldiers, shouting, "There's no time to just watch. We are 5,000 strong. If we all attack together, we can stop the Eastern God, Malice." He roared, "All troops, charge." The Murim Alliance warriors obeyed, charging forward with swords in hand. Make Mo gritted his teeth, thinking, no matter how powerful the Eastern combat god is, he's still human. If we overwhelm him with numbers, he'll tire eventually. But suddenly, an overwhelming surge of chi swept past them like a heavy storm wind, causing their horses to tremble in fear. The warriors froze mid-charge, shielding themselves from the crushing wave of energy. The overwhelming sphere of chi Malice released was a force capable of toppling even Mount Tai. Eastern god Malice clenched his fist, his chi gathering and condensing tightly around it. Makemo instantly sensed the danger. Panic surged through him as he shouted, "No, this is impossible." He then roared for all his warriors to scatter. In the next moment, the entire force turned and fled in every direction. Malice stomped his foot into the ground, cracking the earth beneath him. He raised his fist for a devastating strike, his eyes turning completely white. The air around him twisted violently. Space itself began to distort and crack, the ground shattering under the pressure. Make Mo and the remaining Murim Alliance warriors stood frozen, eyes wide in disbelief at the impossible sight before them. Then, snapping back to their senses, the rest of the warriors broke into a frantic run, scattering in panic. Even the Shaolin monks fled, running for their lives. But the space around Malice continued to warp and crack under the overwhelming power of his strike. And then, within the collapsing void, a white light flashed. The shattered space suddenly reassembled as if nothing had happened. Silence fell. In the very next instant, a massive burst of light erupted. A gigantic explosion tore outward, annihilating everything in its path. The dust settled over broken Murim Alliance flags, swaying weakly in the wind. The warriors lay defeated across the ground. A colossal, deep fist mark stretched across the earth, right where the Murim Alliance once stood. Makemo hung his head, teeth clenched in shock. With a single punch, 700 or 800 martial artists have fallen. This is the Eastern God, Malice. Eastern God Malice stood firmly, glaring at the defeated Murim Alliance warriors scattered before him. He raised his voice and commanded, "If you don't want more to die, take the fallen and get out of here." The remaining warriors scrambled to check for survivors, lifting their injured comrades. Most had survived, though a few had perished. Others rushed to check on their wounded leaders. Malice's voice thundered again. "I told you, take them and leave." Now, one warrior held his injured comrade and shouted back, "Eastern God Malice, thank you for showing mercy. On behalf of the fallen leaders, I, Yeo-Du-Ji, leader of the White Rock Sword clan, thank you from the bottom of my heart. As you instructed, we will withdraw immediately." Malice turned to leave. Yeo-Du-Ji faced the others and ordered, "Members of each faction, carry your fallen comrades and the leaders." They all responded, "Yes." The Murim Alliance retreated, supporting their wounded and carrying their unconscious leaders. Yeo-Du-Ji helped his injured comrade up, sighing with a faint, relieved smile. "We should be grateful, at least our lives are spared." But suddenly, a sharp wave of killing intent surged from the mountaintop, sweeping toward the retreating warriors. Yeo-Du-Ji halted and turned slightly, sensing the overwhelming bloodlust. Eastern God Malice has vanished, but what is this? It feels as if the entire forest below Mount Changbai has turned into a ferocious beast. Meanwhile, Eastern God Malice arrived at a cliffside. A stranger sat at the top, waiting. Without looking back, the stranger spoke. "This is different from our agreement, isn't it?" He turned his head, glancing down at Malice. "Didn't we agree not to interfere with the vermin crawling in?" Eastern God Malice glanced up slightly and said calmly, "They have left." The stranger chuckled, mocking him. "Your efforts to spare your fellow people are truly touching, seeing how you've blocked me here instead of at the mountain entrance." Then, looking down coldly, he added, "But how long do you think you can keep this up?" Malice kept his gaze lowered, silent for a moment before answering. "Keep the pact." Up close, the stranger's ferocious fangs twisted into a sneer. "Pact?" he barked. "You son of a bitch, what are you talking about?" He leapt from the cliff, landing behind Malice with a wicked grin. "There are only 6 days left until the full 10 years. Just wait," he said. "You will die by my hands." With another burst of power, he launched himself upward in a flash. Malice lifted his eyes, watching the airborne figure. The stranger soared so high that his silhouette cut across the moonlight, wild and feral like a beast. At the same time, on a mountain peak about 5 ri from the entrance of Mount Jangbek, 2 figures in black robes and hats were talking. The man standing behind spoke first. "More than 20 years have passed, and it still lives up to its reputation. To think that monster is still guarding that place." His superior, wrapped in bandages, stared ahead in silence. 20 years ago, the battle on Jangbek Mountain, when I took part as a disciple of the Blade Sword sect. Because of that battle, our sect's grand plan was delayed for 20 years. I still can't forget the nightmare of that night. He exhaled softly, then said, "Anyway, to reach Jangbek Mountain before the demon god, we came non-stop from Napsal's Podarlap Palace." Looking down at the retreating Murim Alliance warriors, he added, "So why did the righteous sects move first?" Wang Heol narrowed his eyes. "By my estimation, the March-April forces of the Righteous Martial Alliance. For such a large group to enter Jangbek Mountain." His subordinate pulled him from his thoughts. "Sir Wang Heol, don't tell me the Righteous Alliance also discovered the origin of the Wind White Tiger." Wang Heol nodded. "It seems highly likely." Wang Heol's subordinate stepped forward and said, "If that's true, we should wait for the Patriarch to arrive and report it to him. Right now, it's just you, me, and the Zhu sect disciples. We may be stronger individually, but they have far too many." Wang Heol smiled slightly. "Yes, you're right about that. But This might actually work in our favor." His words left the subordinate briefly flustered. Wang Heol continued, "We don't need to intervene ourselves anymore. We plan to alert the mountain monster and let it clash with the demon god anyway." His subordinate also smiled and nodded. Of course, that was the plan from the beginning. If they kill each other, perfect. And even if they don't, anyone whose chi is heavily damaged will die when the patriarch arrives. Wang Heol glanced at the huge number of Miram Alliance warriors retreating. He cursed under his breath. Those bastards are the problem. Even after being struck by the monster, they still have too much strength left. His subordinate looked at him and asked, "After that beating, do you think they'll stay?" With a calm expression, Wang Heol replied, "If their goal is the origin itself, they'll withdraw quietly. But if they're here to disrupt our great plan, they'll try to stab us in the back." He placed a hand on his chin, thinking, "If we use the righteous martial alliance's forces to eliminate all the troublemakers in one sweep, we could regain the patriarch's trust, the trust we lost." The subordinate then asked, "Sir, between the god of war and the demon god, who do you think will win?" Wang Heol paused for a few moments before answering, "The god of war." The next day, 200 meters up Jangbeek Mountain, the Righteous Martial Alliance set up camp in a natural stronghold surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, waiting for their leaders to recover. On the 4th day, all the leaders finally regained consciousness and could begin healing their internal injuries. But Ho Hyanja, the head of the Mount Heaven sect, had suffered a broken neck and ultimately passed away. Inside the temporary command tent, the first master of the Shangxi Sword sect, Mugu Cheon, sat with his eyes closed, deep in thought. "We believed that with 5,000 elites, we could suppress the Eastern War God, but the result was miserably absurd." He glanced at the now-recovered leaders beside him and wondered quietly, "We've gathered for a meeting, but what is there even to say?" Yun folded his hands together and spoke calmly. "This humble monk cannot understand one thing. For days ago, we suffered unfortunate casualties, yet the Eastern War God let our alliance withdraw without delivering a fatal blow." Yudu-ji, seated across from him, nodded. "Truthfully, that bothers me as well." The head of the beggar clan looked surprised. "What exactly bothers you?" Yudu-ji sat up straighter. As great monk Yun said, Lord Akui seemed less interested in fighting us and more intent on blocking entry to Mount Jangbeek. And before he attacked, he looked back at the mountain, almost as if he was wary of something. Peng Yu shot to his feet, roaring, "What nonsense are you spouting? If that monster had no intention of harming our alliance, then why did he annihilate the advance party?" Yun wiped sweat from his brow. "Someone ruthless enough to wipe out the advance party. Why would he spare us? Perhaps the one who killed the advance party." Makemo stood up and interrupted calmly. "Please wait a moment. Aren't we taking this matter too lightly?" Jinju Yun immediately cut him off. "Patriarch Make, even if you inherited Patriarch Kang's position," Jinju Yun added, "do you think you can simply interrupt a conversation among leaders?" Makemo glared at him, holding back his irritation. "I've stayed quiet, but your foolishness has gone too far." He then bowed slightly. "If I've offended you, I apologize. But I speak because it feels like the leaders are dismissing those deaths as trivial." Jinju Yun's eyes widened in surprise. Makemo raised both hands as he continued. "Of course, given the size of our forces, a few casualties may not seem like much. But they were still our comrades, our family." He stepped forward. "And among the dead was one of our leaders, Ho Hyanja. Just because we were spared doesn't mean the Eastern War God wasn't the one who killed the advance party." Jinju Yun clenched his teeth, cursing silently. "This brat." Yun interjected. "Indeed. Thinking about it now, this monk may have taken the victims too lightly as well." Yudu-ji waved his hand calmly. "What the sect master means is that we should consider the possibility that there is another threat on Mount Jangbeek, something besides the Eastern War God. During our retreat, I felt a chilling killing intent. I am certain it did not come from him." Peng Yu slammed his hand down and pointed at Yudu-ji. "Patriarch Make, and you as well, Sect Master Yu. Aren't your guesses far too absurd? Who else could possibly wipe out the Righteous Alliance's advance party?" One of the captains to the side spoke up cautiously. "Patriarch Peng, you were unconscious at the time. Aren't you dismissing Sect Master Yu's words too quickly?" Peng Yu looked slightly embarrassed as he asked, What? Are you mocking this lord for being injured? Mugu Cheon rose calmly to his feet. We don't have much time. He extended his hand and said, the first and second strategies have already failed. Military intelligence suggests we carry out the final strategy devised by the supreme strategists. Zhang Xian spoke from the side. The commander is right. There's no meaning in arguing among ourselves. She closed her eyes briefly and continued. For now, according to the strategist's plan, we must have the demon cult or the extreme six martial gates engage Lord Akui, the Eastern War God. Then we strike afterward. If Lord Akui only blocks the top experts of each faction, it won't be difficult for our alliance to handle the remaining forces. Mugu Cheon glanced at her, stroking his beard as he thought. The third strategy assumes the Eastern War God has built a faction on Mount Jangbek. But he is a one-man army. Still, there's no issue executing it. He looked around at the gathered leaders. Patriarch Make, your plan depends on the demon cult leader coming to Mount Jangbek. Let's hope your prediction is correct. Makemo smiled slightly, raising his hand. He obtained the origin of the Fire Cheon, then went north and seized the origin of the Dragon Ogre. He will surely come to Mount Jangbek. If we prepare a perfect ambush, not only can we take the spiritual beast's origin, we might even use this chance to kill the demon god. But suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the hall. Quite an amusing plan. Make-Mo turned in shock as he saw movement behind him. Make-Mo frantically searched for the source of the voice as all the commanders and leaders turned toward the back. He roared, "Who just said that?" The warriors of the Miram Alliance drew their swords at once. "Someone's here. Behind us." Make-Mo faced that direction, gritting his teeth as a tremor ran through him. How could so many experts fail to sense a presence? No, impossible. A figure stood at the entrance, still concealed. He spoke. "I was wondering where you disappeared to." His tone sharpened. "So you were pulling tricks here?" Make-Mo recognized the voice. His fists tightened as he trembled. Cheon Yeo-Woon's face slowly emerged as his invisibility faded. "If you've touched someone else's property," covering his face with one hand, hiding a cold grin, he finished, "you need to pay the price." The scene shifts to 7 days earlier. Imperial capital, Kaifeng, Heavenly Demon Cult Branch Reception Room. Elder Huan and Elder Yun walked calmly into the Kaifeng branch of the Heavenly Demon Cult. The two officers stationed there bowed respectfully. Elder Huan and Elder Yun have arrived. The man before them was Gu Munjong, the Kaifeng branch chief of the Heavenly Demon Cult. He asked, "Did the cult leader give a command?" Elder Huan smiled lightly. "No, this matter involves a bit of my own discretion as well." Gu Munjong looked surprised. He quickly asked, "Elder Huan, who oversees the Dark Sect Division, cannot leave the main headquarters. If you move without a command from the cult leader." Elder Huan lightly smiled as she searched her robe and said, "Oh dear, it's not completely my own decision." She pulled out a document, the Heavenly Demon Order, with a stamped seal at the bottom. Gu Munjong and his subordinates' eyes widened as they recognized it. The Heavenly Demon Order. Both of them knelt deeply. 12th Elder Gh Chiavong pays respects to the Heavenly Demon Order. Elder Huan smiled slightly, pressing her hands together. "For today, the cult leader has entrusted me with something you may call an emergency Heavenly Demon Order." Munjong spoke up. "If it's an emergency, is it because of the Righteous Martial Alliance's movements? I already sent messenger birds to the North Sea and the main sect. That's why there's been no reply." Elder Huan softly shook her head. "Oh dear." Gu Munjong frowned. "Why do you say that?" Elder Yun folded his arms. "It hasn't been long, so you may not have noticed yet, 12th Elder. Kaifeng has been isolated." Gu Munjong froze in shock. "Kaifeng, isolated?" Elder Huan's gaze then shifted to Gu Munjong's side, making him turn as well, wondering why she stopped speaking. The man beside him then bowed slightly. "Yuk Sim Myong, Vice Lord of the Dark Sect, greets the Sect Lord." Gu Munjong was stunned at the mention of the Dark Sect. Yuk Sim Myong glanced at him and said, "I offer my apologies, Elder Gu. I couldn't reveal my identity due to the cult leader's orders." Gu Munjong let out a small laugh and nodded. Elder Huan chuckled lightly, resting his fan against his chin. To make this strategic city, Kaifeng, the new base of the Dark Sect, the cult leader sent the Vice Lord here. Gu Munjong simply nodded. Elder Huan then pointed at Yuk Sim-myong with his fan. Then shall we hear the urgent report first? Did the Vice Lord also send operatives to the main sect? Yuk Sim-myong raised his head. Yes, I was even considering going by myself soon. He continued, more than half of the dark sect agents sent to each righteous sect have lost contact. And it all happened in less than 5 days. Elder Huan rested his fan against his chin, thinking quietly before saying, this is the work of the Martial Alliance's supreme strategist, Yeo-Un Ryo. He left our spies untouched for so long just to use their intelligence against us. For him to act now, something serious is happening. He sank deeper into thought. Troublesome. He's the most difficult opponent I know. Wasn't he focused solely on the extreme 6 martial gates after discovering their spies? Yuk Sim-myong's voice pulled him back. Sect Lord, he asked, are you saying you didn't know the Martial Alliance has mobilized its full strength? Both Elder Huan and Elder Yun were caught off guard. Full strength. Elder Huan exhaled softly. So that's what happened. Yuk Sim-myong continued. The Martial Alliance divided its forces and sent them northeast and southeast. Elder Yun's anger surged. She gripped her sword tightly. So that's why they targeted our spies. For those Martial Alliance bastards to scheme like this. Elder Huan, however, remained calm. And they're still holding their forces south of the Yellow River to keep our sect from noticing their movements. But the speed at which they disrupted our intelligence network and mobilized their entire force. He paused briefly, then said, it seems the Martial Alliance is betting everything on this. Both elders rose to their feet as Gu Munjong asked in confusion, betting everything? Against our sect, Elder Huan analyzed. They left Kaifeng untouched because our cult is recognized as the state religion of the Ming Empire. That's likely why they only cut off information. Gu Munjong added, but cutting off information won't last long. Elder Huan smiled slightly. The reason is simple. They plan to use their full strength very soon. The reports from the North Sea must have shaken them. He continued calmly. Yeo-Un Ryo made a swift decision. And without a doubt, the death of the Alliance leader's second son, Kong Soa, influenced it. Losing 2 sons like that, even the Alliance leader wouldn't stay still. Elder Huan then pointed at Gu Munjong. Sending one of their 2 main forces to the northeast must be connected to you, cult leader. Gu Munjong looked startled. Wait, if Elder Huan is right, then the messenger birds we sent to the North Sea might have been intercepted by the Martial Alliance. Elder Huan closed his eyes slightly. That's why Elder Yun and I came here, so don't worry. He opened his fan with a confident grin. When it comes to information warfare against Huan Eui, cheap tricks never work. He chuckled. Looks like I need to teach you again. Haha. Meanwhile, at Cheon Yeo-Woon's side, Yeo-Un shifted from invisible to fully visible right in front of the enemy camp, leaving everyone stunned. They shouted in shock. How did you get in here? Cult leader Cheon. Makemo clenched his teeth, thinking, we even mobilized the Changchun Association to block all information going to the North Sea. So how did he? Both the beggar sect head and Pengyu of the Habuk-Peng clan were equally stunned. Even peerless masters can't hide their presence perfectly. With guards on full alert, how did he slip through? They surrounded Yeo-Un with their blades aimed at him, each wondering. He wasn't visible at all and suddenly appeared. What kind of technique is this? Yeo-Un simply smiled faintly as his thoughts raced. Success. This is exactly the function of the nano suit I wanted to test. Not bad at all. He explained. This is the transparency suit mode of the nano suit, unlocked after removing the seal. It bends light to render the body invisible. It's affected by natural conditions, but with enough skill, the user can remain unseen for a long time. The lord of the Jinju Yang clan, Ian Yang-in, suddenly shouted, even if you're our alliance leader, this is outrageous. The 2 elders beside him flinched in shock. Patriarchian. Yeo-Un glanced at him coldly. A strong blue chi gathered around his raised hand. Rude, you say? He asked. Who do you think is truly being rude right now? In an instant, Ian Yang-in was forced to his knees under a crushing pressure of chi. Then bang. His face slammed into the ground, blood spreading beneath him. Pengyu stepped back, terrified. He's suppressing Ian, a master at the entrance of the flame realm. As if he's nothing. Pengyu thought, cold sweat running down his back. Did his chi rise even further after obtaining the Dragon Ogre's origin in the North Sea? Yong-in, still pinned down under the immense pressure, trembled. His body felt like it was breaking apart. What kind of chi is this? The beggar clan head quickly pleaded. Cult leader Cheon, please withdraw your chi. We are allies. Isn't this sudden pressure too much? Yeo-Un released his overwhelming chi, remaining perfectly calm. The crushing force vanished, allowing Yong-in to regain his breath. The beggar clan head bowed. Thank you, cult leader Cheon. He added inwardly. Good. There's still room to negotiate. Cheon Yeo-Woon's chi slowly receded, but the pressure lingering in the air still weighed heavily on everyone. Elder Mu-gu Cheon wiped sweat from his brow, thinking, his suppressive chi. It's getting even stronger. Elder Gak-yun was barely enduring, even after raising his internal force to its 10-star limit. The beggar clan had stared in disbelief. To repel 2 Flame Realm Pinnacle Masters with invisible chi, impossible. Suddenly, Make-Mo unleashed his aura with a wide grin. You 2 chiefs, thank you. He smirked inwardly. Releasing my energy seal leaves me defenseless for a moment. I couldn't risk it earlier, but thanks to the distraction you 2 created, I managed it. He charged forward, sword raised high, shouting, how careless, thinking I was weak. But Yeo-Un simply shifted his foot and caught the incoming blade between 2 fingers. Make-Mo's eyes went wide. How is he holding a blade overflowing with lightning chi? He didn't even release his own lightning chi. Why isn't he being shocked? Yeo-Un's cold voice cut through the air. Pathetic. A faint grin formed on his lips. This is what true lightning chi is. A thunderous burst of lightning exploded from Yeo-Un's hand, striking Make-Mo head-on. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. See you next time.